Hello to everyone. I'm Alessia. So I'm glad to be presenting 2Design and all of the new features that we have for the entire 2D CAD program package. So as Federica anticipated, today we will be seeing 2Capture, 2Design, and Tetrix. So 2Capture is for pattern digitization, and 2Design is for pattern editing and model creation, and 2Tetrix is for nesting. So I want to anticipate if you guys have any questions, we have a link in the down below description where you can go ahead and start writing your questions. We will then answer them at the end of the presentation. So I'm going to be starting from 2Capture. So what I want to show you behind me right here is a frame. This is the 2Capture frame that we have in our showroom. To digitize these pieces, I have a t-shirt right here. I'm going to go ahead and take a picture with my cell phone. From here, I created a folder that links my cell phone with my computer, so I can go ahead and directly import our picture. So from here, the program goes ahead and analyzes the image. It finds the frame, and without any calibration needed, I can go ahead and confirm. And you can see how it digitized my piece, recognizing, for example, notches that we have right here. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so you can see right here we already have some notches. I can go ahead and modify the properties of this piece. So if I click on my piece properties table, I can see the fabric. I can change that. I can change the name of my piece. For example, I can see here from the preview that is a back piece. So I'm going to write it right here. Okay, I can give quantities, for example, left and right for sleeves. You can see 1 and 1, and I can add piece notes if I want to. Once I have this, again, we can zoom in and out to check if everything has been detected correctly. We can also increase or decrease the contrast between the background and our piece to check if everything that's part of this model has been digitized. I can select points and move them around and make small modifications with the image on the bottom. So once I've digitized all my patterns, added the necessary modifications, I can export this file as a DXF, which is the format that communicates with all CAD systems. This is very important because you can share files with clients or customers that use also other CAD systems, or integrate them to your already existing softwares. The other option is to export as a 2DY file, which is Morgan's native file format. So talking about the 2DY, I'm going to start by showing you 2Design. So from here, we can see I'm on the home screen right here. This is where I can go ahead and import pieces or models, either, again, as a 2DY file, which is Morgan's native format, or as a DXF. Again, this is good if you're coming also from other CAD systems. We can import DXF files and 2Design. Other ways that we can start working is either with recent files. If I've worked on something recently, we have a preview right here on the bottom with everything. We have our sample bases, which are the bases that Federico was talking about before. Here we have a 3D preview of what the full model will look like once it's sewn together, and the preview of all the 2D pieces that can be then modified and personalized. This is great for beginners or someone that's never really used a CAD system. You can start working and creating your own models from pre-existing bases. For more advanced customers or users, we can go ahead and create a MyBase library. This is a library where you can save your most used files. From here, you can copy pieces or the entire models to create new files. So what I'm going to do today, you can see here, this is the digitized pieces of my previously digitized onto Capture t-shirt. So I'm going to start creating a new model by modifying this pattern. So what I'm going to do is going to select this. You can see I don't have any preview because it doesn't have any pieces. What I do have, though, if I move over here, is my technical sheet with an image of what my model will look like at the end. We can see it's a Morgan t-shirt. It has 2 different fabric types, information regarding this piece. This can also be printed out if we need it. So zoom in like this, and we have all of the information. Once I have this, I can go ahead and click on the import. This will open up the My Base link, and it'll show me all of the files that I have saved. From here, I can go ahead and select the pieces that I want. For example, I don't have a pocket, so I'm going to ignore that and only import the rest. From here, I can decide if I want to create a link between the pieces and the My Base. This allows me to make modifications in the future and have them applied to all the connected pieces. Okay, you can see right here, my model has been imported. I can go ahead and save it. And you can see right here next to the piece name, we have a little star that reminds me that these pieces are connected and imported from a My Base. Again, this link can be created and unlinked anytime we need to. So from here, as we were seeing before, we have 2 different fabrics. So I'm going to divide the top using our new function, extract. So you can see from here, I have an internal drawing line that allows me to divide my piece in different sections. Let's give it a second fabric name. Okay. And can clear this and set the second part. Fabric 3. Okay. Again, you can see in our extraction window, we have a preview of the pieces that we are about to extract. I can confirm, and then we can see our pieces. Right here, you can see how they have a different fabric color. And we can see also on the list over here, I'm going to have the name of the model, the variant name, the fabric name, and then the piece name. So I want to show you a little bit the setup of 2Design. So we have here on the left side of the screen all of our working modes. To make the software easier and more intuitive, we've decided to divide the program in different working modes. Each working mode, you can see as I switch between working modes, we have different functions and tools that all relate to that specific mode. Again, the view mode is going to be where I can apply modifications to the piece, move them around, view the piece properties. For example, I can zoom in on this piece. We can rotate it. We can flip them using the grain axis, or flip them. You can see here I flipped the piece, and the program reminds me that the piece is in a temporary position at the moment, and that I have it flipped compared to the original image. If I want to confirm this as the default position, I can click here, and you can see the color has filled up. Again, I'm going to flip it back because we need it on the other direction. Okay, perfect. So from here, I'm going to show you importing another model. I'm going to import a dress. So we can see here that at the moment, I have multiple models all uploaded at the same time. And this is noticeable both by the pieces. Over on this side, we have the model name and all the pieces. We have our different working modes where I can modify and move my pieces around. Again, if I have multiple pieces uploaded at the same time, multiple models, uploaded at the same time, I can apply modifications to both of them simultaneously. So you can see that I've selected the ends, for example, moving with the arrows on my keyboard. Let me move over here. And you can see how the ends are being, I'll zoom in a little bit. So you can see both on my skirt and on my t-shirt. They're being modified at the same time, even if they're part of different models. So what we also have is the ghost function. This allows us to see a track of the previous piece after modifications. So I'm going to zoom in on specific parts. So for example, you can see I selected that specific point. Zoom out a little bit. With the ghost mode active, if I move, sorry. That really does. Never mind. Sorry, the touch screen. Okay. So since we're in the modify mode, I'm going to use this. Do we want to switch to the sharing of the screen so you can see details a little bit closer? Okay. I'm going to remove the t-shirt so we can focus on one model at a time. And we will see right here we have our dress. What we're very excited to show you is the new functions. We finally implemented darts, pleats, and flaring. So to activate those functions, what I'll do is, for example, let's add darts right here on this skirt. I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see better. So from here, you can see that I can select which element I want to use. So darts, pleats, flares, or full dart, which is going to close a pre-existing dart. So the program, again, very intuitive, tells me step by step what I have to do. So we can see here, it wants me to select a point on the perimeter. So this is where my dart is going to start, the dart vertex, and then 2 pinpoints that are going to maintain this position. So from here, you can see already I have a preview of what our dart is going to look like once I confirm. I can either just move this around or insert a specific measurement. So for example, we can just write in here. Let's do 30 millimeters, confirm. And as soon as I click the thumbs up, the program will create a dart. Again, I'm going to go ahead and create another one on this side. So again, first point, vertex, and then my pinpoints. Again, this time I'm going to create the same one, so 30, confirm, and I'm not going to fold the dart, so you can see the difference between the two. You can see right away here, I have the two compared one to the other. What we can also do is, again, I'm going to show you the function to fold darts. So I'm going to select point 1, point 2, and confirm. And you can see how it created a closed dart. I already added seam lines that you can see here on the inside. If I go to the seam mode, we can see, for example, by selecting, I'm going to make this a little bit less intense. You can see how I have seam lines on the inside of the pieces. And I can recognize if the pieces are projected on the cut line or on the seam line by this little icon that we have right here, which is either scissors for cut line, or if I were to switch it, for example, like here, and go to the seam line, you can see how the seam allowance automatically is applied on the outside. So from here, I'm going to move over to, again, sorry, I want to show you one more thing on the seam allowance. We also have the possibility to view the seams with all of their grading. So you can see how all my notches and each side. And moving to the grading here as well, I have the possibility to view both the grading of the actual piece shape and the grading with the seams. And we can see this with the difference between full line and dotted line. So on gradings, I can decide to turn on and off some sizes. For example, if I want to view others a little bit more clearly, so you can see have these. Again, it's possible to also hide or again show the seam allowance. It's very simple to edit the grading. We can simply just select one point, and on the bottom here, we can see all the steps it does from the sample size to the bigger and the smaller sizes. To edit the size set, we can click here on the Edit Size Set window. This is going to show all of the sizes that I have. I can add a new size, for example. Let's call this 58. Confirm. And you'll see how this gets automatically added to the existing sizes. So you can see it right here. And you can see it, I can recognize this by the color, that it matches perfectly. So from here, I'm going to move back to another model where I want to show you a couple more functions. So we're going to upload this shirt. And I'll go back to my touch screen. Okay. So right here we have a shirt model with all of its gradings. We can see we have two different fabric types. So this is going to be in blue. It's the main fabric, while we have these two pieces that are going to be going through the fusion blocks system when we cut. So what I want to do here is this specific model will be placed on and cut on a fabric that has repetitions. So I created a link in between all the pieces. And you can see when I click this function, it brings back all the pieces to the position that I linked them on. I'm going to turn off the grading so it's a little bit more clear. You can see how all the pieces were positioned. Again, I can move them around and work on them more. And every time I want to go back to see them in the actual position, I can just click this again, and it's going to bring them all back in. So from here, we're back on the view mode. This is where I can apply, for example, the piece info, so change the fabric name, the piece name, the quantities. I can preview piece dimensions, so you can see it right here. We can see the area, the perimeter, and all the information we might need also for nesting. And we also added the possibility to give nesting properties directly from 2Design. This is great because it allows you to give specific properties to models or to the selected pieces. And these will be then applied every time I create a new marker using this model. Those settings already. So we have shrinkage, gaps, rotation and flip of the pieces, adjustment angles, and block contour if I want to add that. So we can see it from here. It's going to show me of the selected piece. Or if I want to, I can open my piece properties table. So this is where I have a small preview of my piece. Again, the fabric name that we can see we have two different fabrics name. The piece name, and on top here, I can activate other columns where I have all of those other settings, marker settings. So from here, I want to show you quickly our measure mode. This is where we have our measuring table. So the measure table on 2Design is a secondary page that I can have active while working also on other modes. So if I want to draw and then see the measurements, I can do that. So let me zoom in over here. I'll go so you guys can see a little bit better. Go to the measure mode. And if I select existing measurements from here, it's going to highlight directly from the model what I'm showing. So you can see, for example, right here, we have the sleeve shoulder length. And what I want to show you guys, if for example, let me select this and move this out of the way. Perfect. So if I go to modify, and I modify the length of this, again, I'm using the arrows on my keyboard. You can see how simultaneously the measurements are updated. And we can see two different rows of measurements. One is for measurements on the seam line, and one is for measurements on the cut line. So I can always compare those. The purple size is going to be our sample size, and all the other ones are the graded sizes. Again, this is also printable as a PDF format, or I can export it as a CSV file for Excel. So once we created this, I'm going to move over to Tetrix so we can nest our model. So again, you can see all of our programs how the interface is very similar. Again, also for Tetrix, we have our working modes here on the left side. We have our home page where I can import, again, DXF files, so it makes it compatible with all file systems. So if you're receiving files from external people, you can import a DXF file. Or a 2DY file, again, from the Morgan system. I can import my shirt model, confirm, and it's going to go to the create order page. From here, I can add my file to the order. I can select the sizes I want to nest. For example, I selected size 36, 37, and 38. From here, we have the list of all of our pieces. We can see the two different fabric types right here. And I can select all, or just select the individual piece. Again, this goes like that. Here we have all of our marker settings that we saw also in 2Design. Let me show you again so we can see it right here. These can be set up both on 2Design or Tetrix. Tetrix will apply them only to the specific marker that we are creating. So as I said previously, we want to create a repetition. So I'm going to do 50 by 50, confirm. And you can see already I have our grid right here. On the top, we have a preview of all of our pieces and all of the sizes that I've selected with the matching colors. So what I'll do, I want to also create fusion blocks because, as we saw before, I want some pieces to be to go through the fusion system. So you can see here that it automatically created it all for the other sizes. I'll modify the time. Perfect. Confirm. I'm going to nest all my pieces. So it's going to nest my fusion blocks first, and then it's going to start placing all of my other pieces. Okay. Perfect, so I'm going to stop it here just so we can check it out. So you can see how I placed all of my pieces on the perfect repetition, and I have my fusion blocks right here that I've generated. What we can see apart from the piece are these symbols that we have on our pieces. We have a plus sign, which recognizes the match point. The match point snaps exactly perfectly to the center of the repetition that I created, so you can see this plus sign right here. Other signs that we have is this little eye right here. This, we've defined it a checkpoint. This has been added to work with the Ply 1 cutting machine from Morgan for nesting, again, on stripes and plaids. This is going to allow me to check on the marker and on the machine if my repetition matches perfectly between the pieces that have to be sewn together. So once we created the marker, we can go ahead and export our files. From here, we have the possibility to export ISO files. So this is for the cutting machine. Again, we're going to always have a preview of what the ISO file will look like, and we have the possibility to select the specific elements I want to export. HGPL is for the plotter machine. Again, the same concept goes for the HGPL. We're going to have the possibility to select which elements we want to export. DXF can also be exported from Tetrix. We have the JPG, which is going to be a small icon of what the marker looks like. And finally, the PDF report. This contains all the information of our marker, a little preview. This is going to help out also the operator when picking up the pieces. He'll recognize the sizes, the quantities we have, what the order is, and so on. Again, this can be exported as a PDF file, printed out, and saved. So I'm going to show you a couple more nesting options. Let's load a different file. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So again, I'll select some sizes. Confirm. I'll select just the main fabric for this time. And what I want to do is I want to create a marker with placement groups. With Tetrix, we have the possibility to create automatic placement groups by selecting if I want them by bundle, by size, by fabric, by piece name, or by fabric type. In this case, we only have one, so it's going to only be one group. I'm going to select by bundle, confirm, and I'm going to allow it to nest for a second. Perfect. You can see right here how they've been divided. And again, I have the possibility also to view more elements. I'm going to activate everything so you guys can see. So you can see how we have seam lines, we have our grain axis, our groups are divided. And let me zoom in so you guys can see here. So on the top right here, we can see that it already tells me the length for each placement group. Again, this helps also with the laying of the fabrics when we want to create mattresses, for example, for multiply cutting. And again, same thing here. We can export our files and create either an ISO file, HGPL, JPEG, or PDF. So, okay, so we have more time. So I'm going to keep showing you other functions that we have. So for example, I'm going to ungroup these and show you the shading. So we have the possibility, for example, in some fabrics that have shading, for example, denim happens very often that we want to place specific pieces or specific sizes in a shaded area. So we can create this by selecting the shade area. Let's do this, 600. And then I can go ahead and select the pieces that I want to place inside of this. So I'll select all of the size 36, confirm, nest all pieces. So we're going to notice how all the pieces that are size 36 are being placed inside of the shaded area. Again, the other pieces are free to move wherever they want. So some are placing where there's available space in here, and the rest are going to be placing freely. Again, if I wanted to create one specific shade for each side, I can just go ahead and select the specific pieces. Again, from here, I also want to show you the defects. So we can go ahead here and we can manage fabric defects. So with defects, we have the possibility to select between horizontal line, vertical line, or a rectangle. To do so, I just click on plus. You can see I have defect number 1. From here, I can select which one I want. For example, horizontal line. I'll give it a width of 10 millimeters. And then an offset, let's do 700 millimeters. Confirm. And you can see right away it signals that the pieces that I previously placed are in an invalid position because this is a defected area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up all my pieces and then start the nesting again. You can see now that I've created the defect before starting the nesting, being ignored and excluded from the area. All right. So as a quick preview on the features that we like for 2Design, Tetrix, and 2Capture, I'm going to leave you guys for a couple minutes to decide if you have any questions. You can go ahead and type them in. Click on the link in the description box below. And we will be waiting for your guys' questions. Okay, we're back, so I'm going to start reading the questions that you guys put in. So the first question is 2Design fully compatible and working with standard DXF file format? Does it import and export not only HTML and AMA file? So the answer is yes, it is compatible with different DXF formats, not only AMA and ASTM, but also with DXF standards. We can also export DXF standard files with 2Design. So if I go on to the settings, right here we can see that we have import profiles that we can personalize. So directly from here we can give the specific layers and settings so that everything is read correctly. And we can export, again you can see right here, export as standard DXF files. So this makes it compatible also with other systems, for example Illustrator, if you want to add drawings or icons on the pieces. Again, for DXF, yes, and this is also good for furniture and automotive, which uses DXF standards. We always recommend exporting in blocks. This is very important because it allows us to recognize the full shape and perimeter of the actual pieces. So the other question is, in Tetrix, is it possible to export an Excel format or CSV? So with Tetrix, we can export, as you saw, we have export of ISO, HGPL, DXF, JPEG, and PDF. So these are the files that are available for Tetrix. So before with 2Design, we have CSV. This is where we can export, for example. You can see on the property table right here how we have right here the possibility to export a CSV file. So I think we have other questions. Sorry, let me read. So the other question is if we can symmetrize a piece. So thinking about it, I'm not quite sure, so I want to introduce Morgana, our colleague. So as you can see here, we have, hi, Morgana, how can I help you? And she's going to help me out with your question. Okay. Letting her think for a minute. Perfect. So as you can see, it says to symmetrize a piece in 2Design, and it links all the steps that I have to do. I can keep Morgana open here while I work, for example, and move her around. And I'm going to go ahead and actually symmetrize a piece following her steps. So she says to go to the modify mode right here. So you can see I've selected the modify mode. I'm going to zoom out. Let's select, for example, I want to select this piece. Sorry, let me move it myself. Okay. Right here, modify. I'm going to zoom to this piece so we can see it better. And then she tells me to select the piece that I want to symmetrize. And then on the top toolbar, I'm going to find the Symmetrize Select Elements button. And once I click this, you can see how it's added a symmetry axis. So from here, I can decide whether I want to view it as closed or open. And we can select it right here. You can see how we have our symmetrized piece completely open. What's cool about symmetrized pieces on 2Design is that we can also add internal elements. So for example, let's draw a shape right here. I'm going to draw, let's say, a pocket. And it automatically gets symmetrized on the other side, so we can see that it's mirrored. But for example, if I do not want this on both sides, I can select this internal drawing and say that it's not symmetrizable. So in this case, I only have it on one side. So again, I always have the possibility to view them open or closed. And all of the symmetrical pieces will be displayed over on this side with this icon. So do we have more questions? Okay, the other question is, how can I modify notches? So again, I'm going to ask help from my friend Morgana. How can I? So again, I'm going to let her think for a minute. And let's see how we can modify notches. Again, you can see how Morgana gave me the answer. We have all of the steps that we need to see Morgana. Morgana uses artificial intelligence, so she will analyze all the information she has about 2Design, Tetrix, and put them on together to create the perfect answer to the question that I have. Okay. Okay, so another question we have is what languages are available for 2Design? Again, let's ask Morgana. Okay, so you can see how she says that 2Design is available in English, Mandarin, German, Spanish, French, Hungarian, Italian, Polish, and Russian. So again, I'm going to leave the word to Federica
We can stay here together. Okay. I think you enjoyed this presentation. I did very much, and Alessia, you did an incredible job. Very, very happy. So how do you like Morgana? Morgana is the scoop of today. We are using artificial intelligence in a good way. There is a lot of discussion about that, but we believe it's an opportunity, an incredible opportunity. Imagine the users having the possibility to access to a quick answer to any question they may have during the use of the software, regardless the office time, regardless the time zone. In any moment they can ask and get a professional answer. So it's a big, big help. I know there is another question about the defect, how the defect information come to the system when we do the marker in Tetrix. If they come during the spreading or before. No, ideally they should come before from the fabric inspection, and all we need to know is the dimension of the defect and the position of the defect related to the edges of the fabric and to the beginning of the marker, in case it is an isolated defect. We try to avoid making this communication during the spreading, because as you can imagine, this would stop the production. And you would need to redo the marker once the spreading has already started, which is not applicable. A different story is if we are talking about single ply cutter, ply 1. In that case, we can detect the fabric and the defect during the cutting, actually, and by importing this information, by editing this information in the onboard computer where we can install the Tetrix, then the marker can be remade in real time and continue the next of the cutting with the new position of the patterns made according to the defect. But in multiply cutting, this is obviously not possible. Okay, so I think we don't have more time. Thank you for being with us. I really hope you enjoyed this presentation. Again, I think we did, especially the technical department, the R&D software made an incredible job. We did our part, and now it's your turn. Start sell, 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 sell. Okay? We now take a little break before Fabrizio will introduce you to the superstar of the day, the multiply cutter Rex. See you soon. Bye.
Thank you.